Nous avons réussi à entrer en contact avec monsieur Anatoly Komanaev, qui est le journaliste qui a écrit ce fameux article du New York Times suite à sa rencontre avec monsieur Roodolph Jarr. Il est avec nous en visioconférence et nous allons lui poser quelques questions. Good evening, Mr. Anatoly Komanaev.
Good evening, Serge. Thank you for having me.
Okay, now, first question. We understand that you interviewed Mr. Jaar, Mr. Roodolph Jaar, prior to his arrest by the Dominican authorities. How did you meet him? Did you find him, or did he contact you? Did he come to you?
Well, it was a joint, I think, effort. We've been closely following the investigation since the death of President Moise, and the big unanswered question, of course, was who ultimately ordered his death. There's, as you know, more than 40 people in custody, but none appear to be capable of being the ultimate masterminds. We continue to dig, and we wanted to speak to some of the suspects that were still at large. And through some intermediaries, we were able to make contact with Mr. Jaar. Mm-hmm. We traveled to Port-au-Prince to meet him in capital Port-au-Prince at night in an area obviously I cannot disclose, but we spoke at length in the back of his car for several hours about his participation in the plots and just why the president died in such a horrendous way.
And the first contact was in Port-au-Prince, you said?
Correct. We met in Port-au-Prince. He was still there at the time, obviously in hiding, constantly changing his locations, changing his the places where he slept. But yeah, as several other people connected to the case, he was able to evade authorities for a very long time. Mm-hmm.
But the main interview took place in the DR.
Still in Port-au-Prince. We spoke in Port-au-Prince. That was amazing.
Oh, okay. It was all done in Port-au-Prince.
It was all done in Port-au-Prince, correct.
Oh, wonderful. You said, or Mr. Jaar said in that interview that in his opinion, the Prime Minister of Haiti, Ariel Henry, was involved in the plot. Did you or have you tried to reach the Prime Minister to get his side of the story, and did he answer you?
We don't have evidence that Prime Minister was involved in the plots, and then Jaar did not know that either. I think we can say that Prime Minister was aware that something was afoot, was aware that something perhaps was happening, and then certainly found out the details way before a vast majority of Haitians because of his contact with the main suspects. But we did contact the Prime Minister in his office. The Prime Minister himself did not respond to repeated requests for comment, for detailed questions that we sent him. But we spoke to one of his advisors who asked to remain anonymous, and their position, the position of the Prime Minister's office, is that they have no relations with JF.Badio, who's the main suspect in the case and the main connection.
Correct. When you were with Mr. Jaar in Port-au-Prince, how would you describe his attitude, his state of mind? Did he look like someone who feared for his life, or how was he?
Well, I would say so. I would say so. Obviously, at the time he was already living on the run for several months. He was very scared for his life. He was paranoid, I would say, that there were people who wanted him dead, who prefer him dead. As you know, at least one of the suspects who've been jailed, Dragon, has died in custody, has died from COVID without receiving appropriate health, and yeah, he very much he was in a very agitated state of mind.
Okay. Now, why do you think Mr. Jaar decided to confess his crimes? Because, this is no ordinary crime. Getting involved in the killing of the president, even though he said that, in his opinion, the plan was to kidnap the president, not to kill him. But then, why do you think, your opinion, that he decided to confess his crimes?
Well, in my opinion, I think he obviously realized that he's in a very bad situation. And his defense is that he admitted to participating in a coup, that he helped to provide money, to source guns, and to give a house to the people that attacked the president. But his defense, what he was always under the impression that the plan was to arrest Mr. Moise and install Judge Koch in his place. He was not aware of a murder until it happened, until he received a phone call from one of the Colombian mercenaries saying that the president is dead. I think he decided to speak because he was worried that if he was detained by Haitian police who continued to be after him, his side of the story would never come out. He would be silenced forever, and he would disappear into the jail and perhaps emerge dead out of it. So that was his one chance to not rehabilitate himself, because he was obviously guilty of a very serious crime, a coup attempt, but he wanted to absolve himself from murder.
Correct. Well, that's understandable. And what's the reason for the timing of publishing the article? Is it because Mr. Jaar is now under arrest in the Dominican Republic, or do you think that the time is ripe now to give a big push to the investigation?
Well, we publish the stories when we're ready, when we think we have all the proof and all the data that makes them stand out on its own. I think the story speaks for itself and is newsworthy. I think it is important for the Haitian public to know the information is in there. The exact, I suppose, timing or the decisions we make of when exactly to publish a story is kind of taken inside the newspaper, and it's an editorial decision. But we published it when we thought the story was ready and we had all the information.
Did you have a chance to talk to Mr. Jaar after he was arrested?
No, he is, as you know, in custody in Dominican Republic. Our understanding is that he's negotiating or talks on the way over his extradition to the United States. And I believe similar, this is my personal opinion, I have not had contact with him directly since his arrest, but my opinion is that many of the suspects who are still on the run, just like Colombian Mario Palacios now in Florida, they prefer a Florida courtroom to a Haitian jail. There is a sense that there will never be justice done in Haiti, that the people who are now currently in jail will not see due process, and they prefer extradition to the United States and to face justice, face the court in the United States, instead of being tried in Haiti, or what amounts to just languishing in jail for many months and perhaps years that are to come without seeing due process.
Thank you very much for that interview. This is going to be the buzz of the day, I guess, for us. Thanks again. And
of course. And I just want to say from my end that I have a lot of respect for the people who continue to try to do journalism in Haiti under these really atrocious, difficult circumstances. So, my hat comes off to you, and please carry on with your job as well. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you ever so much. Thank you. Appreciate that. Bye-bye. Voilà, c'était le journaliste Anatoly Komanayev qui est celui qui a sorti pour le New York Times ce long article suite à une interview avec Roodolph Jaar.